Okay, so I've got these two pieces of privet wood that have been drying for a few days, and I'm going to turn them into a gun. First thing I have to do is take the bark off. I mean, it's not all the way dry, but it'll work. I like to use dry wood because when wet wood will shrink and change sizes, and it can even crack sometimes. So it just makes it a longer lasting product, longer lasting thing. And I picked privet because it's invasive in our area, and it's also great wood for whittling. It's not brittle, but it's also sturdy. It's a little bit harder than, say, poplar or pine, but it's sturdy and the grain is close together. And it's not brittle like magnolia. So I like it, and also we're doing the environment a favor by harvesting invasive species. So it's good all around. You don't have to take the bark off, but you can, and it makes it look better in my opinion. Most of the ones I've made do have bark, and they're not bad, but these ones are just cooler in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to cut a piece for the barrel, which is going to be 6 inches long, because my drill bit is just over 6 inches, 6.5 inches. So I have to have a drill bit that's longer than my barrel. I'm using a 3/16 inch drill bit. I originally was using a 1/8 inch drill bit as a pilot hole, but it ended up bending in the hole and it ended up breaking. So it turns out that you don't need that smaller pilot hole anyway. So it's a little bit long and the drill bit's a little bit short, unfortunately. Two options. I can cut it down shorter, or I can shave it off with a knife. I could also drill in from the other end, but I don't like that. I've done it before, but I don't like it because the two holes are offset, and it can mess with your tolerances later on. Make the gun jam more, so I'm just going to have to cut it again. There's the hole on the other end. And I actually like it to be a little bit off center, because when the firing pin comes down and you're holding the handle, it's up further away from your hand, so it's less risk of hitting your knuckle. Next is the handle. I think I'll cut it roughly at 6 inches because it looks a little bit funny. Well, I've done them at 5. Somewhere between 5 and 6, and I'll cut them at 45 degrees. There. That's how it's going to stick together. Probably more like that. So now it's time to put the handle on. I got one thing that I have to drill these holes a little bigger. spot for the handle to glue onto. Alright, now it's time to glue the handle on. I'm going to make some holes in the handle. I usually make them about 1 inch apart. So that is 1.5 inches, so I'm going to come back 1/4 inch. Going to put pegs going through here, so if you drop it, it won't break the glue. So it's just extra support. Okay, now I just need some pegs. So I've got some pegs in here now, and I just slip it in. They should slip in like that, and I'm going to end up taking them out and gluing it all in. But that's the basic body of the gun. Now I'm going to be making the firing pin. I'm going to be making it out of a 5/16 inch oak dowel and a piece of pallet wood, block of pallet wood that I prepared, and this flag. I'm using the rod from this flag. They make good rods if you need some metal wire somewhere, and I just sanded it down so it's to take the rust off of it. I'm using an oak dowel. I have used poplar before, but I've found the poplar dowel to break under the stress, so I like using oak. It's going to be the firing pin, so I'm going to have to drill this hole bigger. I'm going to go with a 32nd larger because I don't want it to be too tight. Now that I've got the hole drilled the right size, I'm going to put this on, which can be a bit of a hassle sometimes, but never that bad. And then oh well, the oak broke. So I'm going to have to take this out. Now, I'm going to be drilling a 1/16 inch hole in here. For this rod. Makes a good pin, so you don't actually have to glue it if you don't like waiting for glue to dry, which is something you have to do on occasion. But I also feel like it's stronger than glue. Like that, and now I guess it's time to glue it all together. I didn't do that earlier. So yeah, I've got these popsicle sticks glued together. This is about 2 inches long, and you can kind of see how it's put together. I've got a hole here and a hole here, and you'll see how it works as a trigger. I'm gonna mount it like this, and so first I need to drill some holes for the mount. I think I'll just put it about that far up, as high as it's marked. Don't know if you can see it on camera. I didn't measure it. I don't think it's necessary. I'm going to drill a hole right there so the trigger can get, that's where the trigger is going to come through, because it's kind of an external trigger mechanism. I'm going to take a 1/16 inch drill bit and make a hole for a pin that's going to hold the trigger in. I'm going to glue these pins in before I do anything else. I should have actually done it before I drilled the holes in them, but I didn't, so I have to do it now. There. So that's the trigger. I'll put it up closer so you can see. And it'll pull like that. And there will be a something linking it. Now to make that. I forgot about this part of the gun, so I didn't account for it when I was gathering supplies. So I'm just using wet privet because I don't want to wait for it to dry. I'm going to eyeball it. I don't want it to be too precise because it'll jam up in the hole. So I'm going to whittle it down just a little bit more. To set this trigger, it's very important to make sure it's pulled back all the way and then put in just a little bit, because if you pull it, if it's not, and you're using it and you pull it out all the way, it'll come out and then it's going to be a pain to put back in. So you need to have it pulled out all the way before you set it, and then that's the trigger, how it's supposed to pull, and it will release the firing pin. So when the firing pin's back like this, oh, I need to drill this hole bigger. Oh, the firing pin can't go in right now because it's blocked, but when the firing pin is in, then the trigger will, and it'll block it inside. When you pull the trigger, it'll go forward. It is almost done. There's just a couple more things left to do, and I can only do that after the glue is dry. And there's one important thing to do is drill a hole right here at the top. Right here. and I usually just use a toothpick for it. I stick a toothpick in this hole because there needs to be an elastic band that goes from here to the toothpick, so it keeps the trigger pulled. So when you pull the trigger and after you let it go, it'll snap back into position. It's very important for the functionality of the gun, even though it's a small detail. I'm also going to drill some holes for pegs to go, for the elastic bands to hook onto. They're very important. Now it's time for the last step, and that is getting the firing pin in. And what I'm first going to do is I'm going to drill this out so the pins that I put through are not obstructing the firing pin. So there you go. After drilling that out, you can see the firing pin goes in like it should. And now when the trigger is not pulled, it'll stay, and when you pull the trigger, it'll go in. So now for a few last touches. This is a pretty important part. I'm going to carve this so it fits in that hole. Okay, so after a lot of tweaking and finicking and filing, I've got it to where it works well enough. And now I need to glue it. So this is the finished product. You can see I've got the plug that I made on the tip, and it helps when you pull it back, it helps it to not slip all the way out. And it can also help you fire smaller ammunition. Except I made it a little bit too tight, so I have to give it a bump every time I cock it, so it will fire when I pull the trigger. But I've made 3 slugs for it that I can, it works, it's more accurate when you have tighter tolerances with your ammunition, but it can fire basically anything that'll fit in the barrel. I wouldn't fire rocks with it because I'd be afraid that the jagged edges would catch in the barrel and jam it. I can imagine that happening, but you have to give it a bit of a bump to get it. It's not working. Here. That's how it's supposed to work. There. And you can also, it has, it's not the most accurate thing, so you can break up multiple sticks shove them all in at the same time, and you basically got a shotgun or a blunderbuss that will fire multiple items at once. This one's not being so consistent. I made it too tight. There, and you can fire multiple objects at one time. I'm going to check its accuracy. Yes! Well, there you go. I hit it.